What I'm going to do today is run through how to build funnels that actually convert and scale cold traffic. Now, how we're going to do this is actually without spending more on creatives, without spending more at the ad level, and without redesigning your entire site by guessing what changes you need to actually make, okay? Now, we're PM Digital. We're an all-in-one CRO performance agency. We run the entire strategy through design, development, copywriting, and we optimize your entire funnel, okay? We do that through split testing and landing pages. Now, when we're doing this, our goal is to turn profit into optimizing your entire funnel. We're trusted by some of the biggest brands, and we always start with the research. As you can see here, here's some of the brands that we actually work with. Now, when it comes to actual funnels, we built over 500 plus landing pages, generated over 100 million in annual generated revenue. And the main focus for us is always subscription and fashion brands because they have two completely different types of focuses that you must have, and they're two completely different strategies. Now, after today, what you're going to stop doing is sending cold traffic straight to PDPs. So we see this all the time. Brands send warm, cold, and hot traffic all to PDPs, which makes absolutely no sense. You're going to stop testing random ideas. Instead of researching, you're going to stop discounting your way to absolutely no margin. And you're going to understand why subscribers are the highest LTV audience you can actually have, all while stopping yourself from running one funnel with a weak offer, which is what a lot of brands do. And they wonder why, because they do this. They spend tens, if not hundreds of thousands on creatives, at least 300 to 400 plus ad creatives a month. Email and SMS is always locked in, or even if it's not, that's still a problem. But the main problem is they're not testing and iterating on their funnel. So their CAC stays the same, their cost per purchase stays the same, they're capped on spend, as in they can't actually scale spend at the ad account. They're stuck in low LTV and low sub take rates. So 2, 3, 4 areas that we're going to focus on today. Now, what most brands do as well is they always focus on cold traffic, okay? Why do they always focus on cold traffic? Cold traffic is the key to actually scaling, and if you can unlock cold traffic through direct response copywriting, through actual funnels, then you will scale and you will actually be able to scale your spend through Meta. Now, the problem is most brands send cold traffic straight to the product page, and it's too soon. They don't know who you are, they don't know what you're trying to do, and they literally don't have any trust in you, and they don't understand what you're trying to actually sell them. Now, they can either be problem aware, solution aware. We will dive into that in a few minutes. Now, the new way and what works and what doesn't. Most brands are doing the add to product page level, assuming they're ready to buy, just kind of throwing up a random offer, random pricing, random pages. That's not working anymore, okay? That's simply not working, and I'm going to prove it to you. The new way is add to landing page to product page to checkout. You can also step in a quiz in there, and you can also just do like a add to lander to checkout strategy, okay? And you don't need to actually put them to a product page. The whole goal is to handle objections, okay? To handle objections, to educate your visitors, to actually make them build trust within, what you're trying to sell them, first of all. To actually develop customer research, which is something brands just never really do, which actually baffles me, is that they're running random test ideas, random split tests. They're on the zero program where they don't actually research. They're just guessing, throwing shit at the wall and seeing what sticks. That's not going to work, okay? And they also just don't even tap into different pages for different mindsets and avatars. Okay, so we tap into a lot of persona-driven landing pages, persona-driven avatars, and that's something that all of our brands love because they have different avatars. Not everyone is the same person that buys your product, okay? And that kind of takes me into what we see weekly. Zero avatar customer research. Copy that describes the product, never the transformation, never the outcome that they're going to get from your product. And always brands just discounting massively across the board, hammering buy 3, get 4 free. And they wonder why churn's so high when people have 7 packs of your product in month 1. Okay, so we have to be realistic without smashing AOV too high. We have to try and find that balance of conversion, AOV, and retention, okay, and sub take rate. So all of these are all to do with trying to gain LTV. That's the main goal for every brand. The longer your LTV, the more profitable you are on the back end, okay? Now, the main thing for us is how to scale. Why do you need these? So you need landing pages because it allows you to scale. It allows you to increase more spend, which is the key metric in Meta realistically. If we can increase more spend while keeping cost per acquisition around lower or the same as it was, then we are able to scale profitably as a brand. And the goal behind that is you're going to have creatives locked in, but the funnels that we build and the funnels that you should have should align with what your creatives are saying, all based off the research that you're actually providing, okay? Now, what is cold traffic? And I think this is something brands do Now, what is cold traffic? I think this is something brands get confused with quite a lot. They don't actually fully understand what it is, and I want to break it down to you today. So, cold, warm, and hot traffic. Cold traffic, you've hit them with an ad maybe once, okay, maybe twice. Maybe they're shopping for electrolytes and your electrolyte ad has hit them. They've never heard of you. They don't trust you at all. They're probably being burned. They've bought previously, or maybe they're a certain avatar that takes the product every single day. Maybe they're an avatar that actually knows a bit about electrolytes. Maybe they're an avatar that doesn't fully understand what the electrolytes is, but they have a massive problem. Okay, so there are all three different types of avatars or four different avatars that you can actually target. And that kind of shows why you've got to understand the problem, agitate, solution. You've got to kind of understand where in the awareness level of the funnel are they. Now, warm traffic is kind of the traffic that has probably seen you. Again, they know a bit more about their problem. Maybe they don't know their solution, or maybe they know their solution. Maybe they know there is a solution, but they actually don't even fully realize they have this massive problem yet. And that's how you can agitate the problem that they have. You can actually talk more about the concerns, more about all the health issues, or get into that direct response marketing sort of copywriting. And then you have the hot traffic. Obviously, they know your problem. They know their problem. They've maybe seen your brand. They're in buy mode. So you've hit them with multiple ads. Maybe they're in your funnel already. Again, these are also people that maybe we've hit with an ad or multiple ads, and then they've came through our landing page and our funnel. That's hot traffic. And that's the goal here. We want to turn cold traffic into hot traffic through funnels and best performing ads. Now, it all starts with the research, and we always run through this type of process right here, which is step one, starting with the analysis, okay? Quantitative and qualitative analysis, they're two kind of starting points that every brand should be doing, no matter if it's creatives, landing page, website builds, CRO. I think this all stems from the same type of research. You've kind of got your analytics and data, so getting very data led, okay? Looking through your numbers, looking through the drop offs across your funnel. And you can utilize heat maps and scroll maps to actually do this within heat map softwares. What you also want to do then is focusing on what they click. So the heat maps, the scroll maps, trying to see where they drop off on those actual pages, looking at your scroll depth. One of the highest underutilized metrics of all time, which is scroll depth. People don't realize that on average brands see about a 25% scroll depth. So people worrying about what's at the bottom of the page makes absolutely no difference to conversions, okay? Then you've got the market research. So actually looking across the market, what's happening in e-commerce, what's happening in your niche, and just going through those types of things and seeing how you can improve on them. Then we have qualitative analysis, which is the main one, which I always say it's what the customers say and what they see, okay? Which is website review analysis. So review mining is something that we do quite a lot. You want to export your reviews, you want to scrape your reviews, scrape competitor reviews, and look for the same words, the same angles that people are using. What's the benefits? What's the outcomes that they get from your product? Where were they before and where are they now? And that's how you actually really tap into that consumer mindset, okay? Now you can do that across the board for all different types of things, which links me to surveys. Normally what we do is we have post-purchase surveys. You can email customers surveys. And when you get to the survey level, you'll understand that most of them will have just purchased, so they'll be in a different mindset than the people who are in your email list. So if you get the post-purchase survey going, you want to ask them, why did you buy today? Why did you buy from us, not a competitor? And in most cases, the customer will actually tell you that, okay? Then you've got support tickets. That's where you can actually see the problems that they're suffering from. That's where you can actually see the problems and the issues that they face. And that's what you want to try and tap into as well. And you want to utilize all of this through the meta ad comments, the competitor analysis, the messaging reviews on your content, forums. You want to kind of take all of this, and that's how you create your copywriting, okay? And you've got all these issues and things that your actual customer that's bought from you is saying. So why are you not putting that back into your funnel? Okay, that's a question that we always ask brands. Like, why are you not doing this already? What we then do is we ideate and we prioritize based off that. So if we're trying to hit cold traffic, we know from our already warm traffic and the people that have bought and our surveys and our research that there's certain fundamentals and issues that they suffer with. So we have to tap into that with our copywriting principles. We have to look into PAS, we have to look into pastor copywriting and using our actual frameworks of landing pages to dive into that. And then we prioritize what we're going to attack first, which is landing pages, zero testing. We then go into the copywriting and design backlog, into the development, test, winner. We then test it. Did we win or lose? And then we go through the success of what we learned. And we just keep going. And that is one big funnel in itself of actually how you test and iterate. Now, this kind of helps you understand then, how do we actually break this down? Well, we break what we just showed you down into what they say, what they see, what they click. and everything is mapped out in the stages where the decision's actually made. So whether it be real customer language, we actually move that back into the messaging. What they see, are they actually seeing the reviews? Are they seeing the social proof? Are they seeing the offer? Are they seeing the messaging that aligns with where they are right now? And what do they click? What side of the bundle are they clicking? What number? What quantity? What logic? Can we actually increase the quantity that they're buying from? How do we actually test to increase average order value and decrease cost per acquisition? So if we move on then, how to structure landers for cold traffic. So this is kind of like the blueprint that we always talk about. So you've obviously got the hero section, which is the best and most important section of every single website. And I think brands actually neglect this too much, where you've got your 5-second hook or your 3-second hook. So when you land, they've got to understand what it is, why they should care, why they should buy it. And when they land there, you've really got to try and hit them with those emotions, try and get their attention. It's kind of like the hook of an ad. A big thing that we do is we always take the winning ad angles and we actually build them into the hero sections of websites. What we'll then do is we'll look at the problem. So what problems are they kind of mentioning on the ad level? What problems? Then we'll go into the problems. So what problems do we understand that they have in terms of using our exact customer language throughout the phase of the research? Okay. So surveys will tell us this, reviews, support tickets, everything like that. Then we have to go into the promise. So like the promise and the mechanism kind of come hand in hand. We go to the problem, we agitate it. So we talk more into it. We actually call out more problems that they actually have. Then we provide the solution within the promise that we have in the mechanism, which is showing them transformation, showing them the before and afters, and breaking it down into a unique mechanism, which is in itself for example, the 3-phase sleep system. So something that people then understand that they have to take these products together and it becomes part of their routine. And I think within all of this, people need to understand that the copy in itself, if we're talking about LTV and we're talking about subscriptions, we've got to talk about daily use, routine, getting into the habit of them hearing those words so that they know that they have to subscribe. So copy has a massive part to play in all of this, and it's probably 80% of the reason your page is going to convert. Then we've got sections like a 4 reasons why or a mini listicle within that. You have ingredients, which showcases what it is and the benefits of it. You don't want to go into too much detail here. Then we have the offer, okay? And I always talk about value perception. I think marketing is value perception. And brands don't go into this value stack enough where they just say, hey, buy this sachet for $30. Or they say, reduce fatigue, reduce cramping, improve sleep with our so what they can actually do is they can go into the details of the benefits, the bonuses that they get, the free gifts, stack the value instead of just saying $30 for electrolytes. Build that offer, give them freebies that are low cost, and actually get them some sort of perception of value. Rather than just $30, it's $30 for all of these things instead, and how much time it can save you. So you want to make sure that they don't have to actually increase the amount of time they need to spend on this issue. They can just solve it by taking a electrolyte. Now then we've got risk reversal, so removing the fear, guarantees, the usual stuff, returns policies. This is huge when it comes to apparel, but also when it comes to things that you're still buying. People just need to have some sort of like fear removal. It just kind of gives them solace in what they're buying. Then we have the objection handling and the final CTA. So FAQs are huge for this. Objection handling in itself will allow you to just hit the real reasons that we got from that initial research and batch them into this, as well as then the final CTA, which is like pushing the offer, okay? Now, as I said, it all starts with great copy, but you have to understand why. And this is kind of like the direct response congruency funnel that we call it. So then we go into this, which is matching awareness levels of the buyer, number 1. We have to match the awareness levels. We've talked about that multiple times in this video, where we talk on actually looking into, are they aware of the problem? Are they aware of the solution? Where are they in that mindset of where they're at? Once we know that, we can then understand, okay, what pain points are they facing now in their journey? What is the issues that they're having? And how do we actually overcome that? Then we've got to use social proof, which is like the most underutilized reasons to actually do any of this. And most brands forget that the social proof is the reason they will actually purchase, okay? And it's the reason that people will see reviews, they'll see testimonials, they'll see logos of publications. So they'll see logos of publications, they'll see many other things that are going to actually improve the social proof of the page. But many of them have got to be reviews from real customers. Show the actual customer, ideally of them talking, but even if it's not, an image showcasing the before and after, or where they were in their journey and where they are now. So reviews can actually be structured in a way that helps convert as well. And if you grab those good reviews, you want them as high up the fold as possible, just singularly. You don't have to have them in a big row of reviews. Then utilize the mindset and the desire level they're at. So what I'm going to go through in the next few slides is showcase the desire levels that change throughout the year. And that's super important when it comes to the mindset of the consumer at that time, because macroeconomics has a massive factor on selling, okay, online. Lastly, handle all objections. Provide the framework of your product as a solution. So quite simply, they'll tell you what their issues are and you need to frame it so that your product can solve them. Now, as I always talk about, the direct response always wins, no matter what. This is a client that we've had for a long time. They never used to listen to us in terms of direct response copywriting, and we couldn't get them to actually change their mind. But what we ended up doing is they brought a new media buyer who introduced direct response creatives and copywriting into their ads, and we matched it with landing pages, and now their performance is up. So it just kind of understands why you can't leave no questions unanswered, and psychology is the difference between brands that sell and brands that don't, all while selling the same product, okay? So it's just proven examples. Now, here's different goals based off different pages that we have built for clients, all to do with what type of traffic they're going to. So if we're going straight to a product page here, like raw nutrition, we built this knowing that you still need to educate and showcase the main USPs, but people need to understand why they're buying it. So that's why it's showcased like this. Then you've got an offer landing page for cakes, which is driving more around the offer that they actually sell with at that time. So you can also do this around Black Friday, around sale periods, but also just around really strong offers that you have. If all of your ads are structured for this hero offer, then push this type of page. Then you've got a landing page that we call like a hero acquisition page, which kind of just stems from a standard sales page that educates the customer, handles objections, and then tries to sell them, but handling all of those areas across the line of actual social proof and USPs that they have. And then we have the beauty of them all, which is the one everyone loves, advertorials. Advertorials are one of the best. They're problem focused, and I will break all of these down as well. Now, when it comes to converting cold traffic, I mentioned the desire and the mindset changes. So in January, you've got the reinvention. Everyone wants to gain control. Everyone ate a lot of food at Christmas. They want to gain control of their routine. You need to understand that and understand why you need to tap into their mindset of that. Then we've got into February, which is like a higher emotion, more connection, more self-worth. People want rewarded and want have more confidence because we have gifting, we have Valentine's, we have all of these things that people really want. Then we've got March, which kind of is like validation. Did they do enough work in the last 2 months, which gets them from January to March? Did they gain control? Did they then connect with themselves and feel a bit of self-love because of all of these things? And then how progressive are they within that? And is there proof on that? And that's how you can really start tapping into the fear side of things of don't waste another month. You said you were going to do this in January, for example. Now, if we talk on like some of that most high converting sections, we've got a hero section right here. So this is a hero blueprint, one that we've created multiple times, but one that's really high converting, which is in terms of agitating the problem. So pointing out statistics. Statistics always work really well when you do this, and kind of trying to then tap into like what happens if we don't fix the problem. So up to 40% off toddlers today are not getting enough sleep, leading to behavioral issues, lower IQ scores, and high risk of obesity. Now, maybe some parents reading this actually have this problem, but if some don't, then they don't want to get into this problem. And that's why we kind of point out down the line, you've tried these issues, you've tried these solutions, you've tried all these other products, but then we found this problem, okay? And that's why we then put the mechanism and the proof behind it. And then we've got one around like hair care where we're showcasing before and after straight away, showcasing the bundle because it is a 3-step set, and then actually tapping into leading with results, establishing what it is, and then showing that it's a bit of a routine and that you want to kind of take the guilt off it, that it's not their fault due to hormones that it's happening. It's actually other problems to do with what they're utilizing and how we can fix it when it comes to hormone related hair loss. And then when we go into different types of cold traffic sort of angles and how we actually do that, there's always a massive congruency between ad to landing page, and people need to understand that, okay? We've got to continue that angle between the ads tone and the landing page's tone. And as you can see here, here's 2 really unique pages for this brand. And you've got to really understand that they have a certain personality, a certain way of speaking, a certain way of coming across visually. We have to continue that from ad to landing page, or it doesn't make sense. It doesn't stand out, and it's not as high converting as people actually think it is, because if the ad's different to what we have and they land after that post click, it's not going to work. So you've got to match that personality. And then we've also got like social proof. So these are some really good sections on landing pages that people should be using. Real community screenshots, real reviews, real proof handling through surveys. So people eat this up when people actually see things that they're struggling with and people are saying them in reviews and how they got fixed. That's a perfect example right here. So any communities, any social proof, you can get that in there. And then we've got things like timelines. So if you're running a supplement or a product that's got like LTV purposes, so subscription, funnels, these types of things, you want to make sure the copy is aligned to what we're trying to push within landing pages, which is timelines. Okay. Timelines also get them to really understand that they have to continuously take the product, and you tap into their mindset of making them believe in the process. Okay. And it's all in the wording. Now then, when it comes to subscription offers, which we always talk about, which is a massive problem, which is people canceling. If you don't have management expectation within that, so like if you don't have expectation management within that, then you won't retain your clients. You've got to retain them, okay? Which is why you need this in there. And I've talked about all of these things along the way, but people don't see results fast enough as a massive issue. Not believing in the timeline, so not showcasing them how long things actually take with proof, and then having too much product. So a massive issue we actually see is people just hammer them with a really poor offer up front, which is so high in volume that the customer saves loads of money, but they just cancel after month one or two. And the LTV is just not there, which is not profitable for the brand. Also then, when it comes to value perception and stacking, here's a clear example of like offer fundamentals. So if you've got like a current stack, you've got something that has loads of insights into it. So take IM8 here as an example at the bottom, where they always say that they have all these multivitamins, all these superfoods, all these immunity electrolytes, adaptogens, but they don't actually try and sell them in one individual products. They have these all in the one product. And that's how you can showcase value perception. You can stack it in your favor to compare against the other products. And then the thing that all brands do wrong, which is just like offer to discount. Like they just hammer discounts into an offer thinking that that's what an offer is. But an offer is perception. An offer is a product that someone needs at that given time. I think that's important to remember. And then you've got the options of like bundling offers on one-time purchase. And then you've got things like bundling offers on one-time purchase versus subscription. So if you're toggling these on and off and you've got 30, 60, 90-day options, if you go to the 30, like how do we know they're going to buy this every 60 days? Are they going to subscribe to 60 servings every 30 days and this every 30 days? The answer is probably not. So we've got to make sure that when they click them, that the offer amount changes, that they can buy these on one-time purchases. But when it comes to subscription, you've got to remember that's an extra 10% off. So technically, if we're giving 20% off the 90 servings, that's an extra 10 on top. So you've got to be very careful as to what we do there. But the reason for that and the goal should be, don't hammer one-time purchase when LTV and subscriptions is the goal. And we should always be using that to gain predictable revenue. And once that happens, you lower the cost per acquisition, payback pressure. If we can get that cost per acquisition to break even on first order or even profitable in first order, then every month after that is just so profitable. And we can work on the offer to actually get that. And then you've got things like this where we've a blurry screenshot in the corner here of a result we got for a client optimizing product imagery. And we've tons of these results, but people neglect product imagery in your funnels and for cold traffic. Remember that this is one of the most clicked areas on every single website, which is product images. You need to be treating them like website sections. You need to have content in there, benefits, outcomes, social proof, and then the offer, which is kind of like one of the main things here, which people neglect. The offer is one way in which you will be able to push more incentive to actually know that there is an offer there, because some people might scroll and then bounce, okay? And then we've got more product style images where we can actually talk about saving money, losing weight, before and afters, community screenshots, social proof. And I think people forget this when they're creating product images, is like all of this research that we've got here came from social proof, came from the surveys within the actual post-purchase, and people were telling us that they'd rather this than paying monthly gym memberships, and I think that's the most important. Now, if we just recap everything, research before you test, say, click and see is always something you can align on. Cold traffic needs warming. Stop sending every bit of your visitor to PDPs directly, please. Please actually try and educate them and handle objections. Then we've got aligning copy to the mindset and the avatar. So everyone's different. All mindsets and avatars are different. Make sure you're make sure you're funneling your copy correctly to this actual avatar and persona. And then stack value. So within your offer, you've got to stack value. That's how you make an offer perceived to be higher value. And then add to lander has to be the continued story. So you need congruency, okay? Now, thanks for listening. Hopefully everyone can get something from... Thanks for listening. Check out the other videos above. If you want to book a call, you can click the more information below, visit our website, see who we work with, and we'll go from there.